guys, how are you? Welcome to your Real Law State with Patty and Kate. Woo woo! So I say it's yours because we are here to answer your questions. All right, and the reason we're doing this is because one of the things that always surprises us is after we do these shows, people come up to us and they say, yeah, that was really interesting what you said. I wonder, and then they bring up something that we never would have thought of.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, at this stage of the game, we kind of have in our brains what we want to communicate to you.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, right, Patty, you guys have some other ideas. So, Patty, what do you think? What have you been hearing from your friends? And before we get into until we get into the questions.
What have I been hearing? Well, first, they're all very happy that my eyes stopped darting all over the place like a crazy person.
I know that I think they looked great. It is. So just a little tip for you guys: if you are doing live video, you look at the little light right on the top because that's where your eyes are. So if I'm looking at that green spot, we're eye to eye. So there you go. That might be something someone would have asked us. Who knows? All right. So
how about you? Has anybody asked you any questions?
Yes, they have. And I have to tell you, so this weekend I did a boot camp for the Agent Rising Real Estate School. And so it was Friday and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Well, actually 6:15 because they thought it was 6 and I wanted 6:30. Bye, Dad. There goes Big Jim. Mwah, love you. And so Patty came in and did a part of the training with us, and they loved her, and it was hilarious, you know, and it was exciting, and I think I want to do more of that. That's my first question. Will you do more of that with me?
I will do more of that. I've never taught before, so
well, you're awesome.
Wrecking, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. They were a phenomenal group, we loved them like crazy. But one of the things you asked about, and this is what they asked me right after, as a matter of fact, was Patty was sharing a story about the twists and the turns that can happen in the real estate transaction. And we had just learned about testate and intestate, which is when someone passes away. Do they pass away with a will or do they pass away without a will? Okay, and so we learned about intestate. We learned about if there's no heirs, it goes to cheats to the municipality or to the state. And anyway, so Patty started telling us the story about intestate. What did you call it?
Well, it's intestate. It's so when you don't have a will, it's intestate. When you do have a will, it's testate. And if you don't have a will, there is a chart in the Mass General Laws that will chart out who inherits from you. And so it's a very specific diagram, which starts obviously with your spouse and your children. But if you don't have them, then it would go up to your parents. If your parents have predeceased you, it goes to brothers and sisters, and then to aunts, cousins, and so on. So there's a whole little chart that directs you who inherits from you.
So that's very cool. So where can you find that chart?
Well, I would just Google Mass General Laws and then Laws of Intestate, and it should come up for you.
Okay, because that was something super interesting. It's almost like Ancestry.com, but for the inheritance.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and we were talking too because I had to apply this intestate because I had this client who called me up. Very long story, but they found out they owned a percentage interest in land on Martha's Vineyard.
Yep.
And so we started looking into it, and the last deed on record was dated 1830.
Oh my gosh.
So we had to recreate a title from 1830 to present day, proving that they in fact own an interest in this property. And ultimately we were able to prove my client and like 13 to 20, I forget because I've done a couple of them quite frankly, heirs own this piece of land. And then once we did that, we were able to sell it. So awesome. Cool. But all those laws of intestacy came in because who inherits from them? Because if you can't find a will from somebody from 1875, you got to figure out who would inherit from them by law. And we had to create this whole chart over 200 years. And it spanned heirs, 2 countries, something like over 10 states. It was pretty awesome. It took a long time.
And you actually had said something when you were describing that. And guys, I'm sorry, my hair's a mess today. The thunder and lightning when I was going to shower. I didn't want to get electrocuted, so it's a mess. But anyway, so you also said something that there is a process almost like a little bit of fraudulent, where people would go for, they would try to register land that was not theirs in hopes that none of these heirs would come up. Is that true?
Actually happened in this particular case, because all of a sudden we had somebody saying that they owned an interest in this land. So I looked at their title, and their title seemed to start and stop in 1980. Well, so they put a deed on record, knowing that nobody was claiming this property, thinking they're going to put their deed on record, leave it there for 20 years, and then they would own it by adverse possession. So it happens a lot on the islands. For some reason, there's a lot of messed up and lost interests in land out there. So you have these land sharks who look for that, and then they throw a deed on record and hope that someday they're going to be the owner.
I think that's pretty cool.
It's
I mean, I think it's interesting. So this is like, when I teach the class, I teach it by, you know, the textbook and the stories that I know. And when she came in, it was like a whole new perspective. Yeah. All right, your turn for a question.
Well, one of the things that we talked, when we had the class, one of the things that at the end, people were asking, because they came from all kinds of places. We had somebody from like Watertown.
We had a couple people that traveled, that hoofed it here to see us.
Yeah, quite a distance. So they asked, you know, as an agent, what should they be looking for in a brokerage when they go hang up their license? Like, what are they looking for? Of course, everybody's looking for money, right? Everybody wants to get paid well, but there's so much more to consider.
Yes.
And so I think we both had a couple of thoughts on that, but why don't you tell us, since I just did bulk of the talking?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's a really good question.
It is.
And, you know, having taught real estate school for 10 years now.
Yeah.
So many times when the people are done with class, they will come to me and be like, what do I look for? Yeah. You know, and you had brought up money, and I say, set the money aside.
Yes.
Because until you make about $100,000, the money is pretty much going to be similar in different kind, like it's not going to be enormously different. Yeah. Because of fees and the way that it's structured. So, I mean, so to start with, you need to set that aside. So one of the things I say all the time is find a place you feel comfortable, you know, because do you like the culture in the place? Do you like the commitment that the organization has to you as a new agent, you know, to welcome you, to have resources to help you? Does it look like people in the office will help you? Does it look like you can shadow them? Is there a mentor? Is there a training program? Is there support? Yeah. You know, so I always say, like, what feels good to you? You know, and I will tell you, like with Bold Moves, we were a very, I don't want to say casual, because we were extremely bent on being professional. Yeah. You know, as far as knowing what we're doing and having contracts and stuff. But we like to do things like Kindness Rocks, and we, you know, the swag we made ourselves were like sweatshirts, and so we were more of a family-oriented of company. Yeah. You know, and if you had somebody who came in and what they were looking for was, you know, wearing a suit every day, although I wear suits probably half the time, but like they were looking for something that felt a little more professional and polished. Yeah. So they didn't fit, you know, it wasn't anything bad or good. Right. It was like a fit. Just right. You know, and so that was something that came up. So that my first thought was fit. Yeah. What was your first thought?
My first thought is definitely, like you're talking about, support. Yes. And, you know, when you're going through the real estate licensing process, and kudos to all of you that are doing that. I saw the books, I saw the things they're asking you, and I'm thinking, we learned that in law school. Why is that on your test? You will never use half of it. But in any event, you feel like you have a good grasp on some things, and then you get your first buyer or seller, and then all of a sudden you're confronted with the contract and all the many pieces, and you're thinking, oh crap. So I think that support system, that was my first thought. Yeah. Who's going to answer those questions? Who's going to hold your hand?
And truthfully, and you know this, and anybody, you know, the people in my class know this, is one of the reasons why I was so excited about partnering with you, was because you brought a whole new dimension of ways that we can support our agents. Yeah. And, you know, where real estate's getting more complicated and, you know, and tricky and so much more complicated that I feel like this cloak of confidence, having you overseeing, like looking at all the contracts before they go out, number one, but number two, like I can't even, and I said this to the class, I'm like, I can't even imagine how many questions I have asked you.
Yes.
And I've been doing this job for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think I've done a pretty good job of it. I think I know more than most agents out there.
And I think sometimes we just all have those moments of insecurity, I think, you know, especially if the agent on the other side of a transaction is trying to push you in a direction it doesn't feel right, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is. Just having somebody, I think, to back you up to say, no, that's not how it is. It just gives you that boost of confidence to go forward and know that you do know what you're talking about.
Right. And so that was something that, you know, I think is hugely important.
Yeah.
So as I said, with the money, there are different business models out there. By and large, when you're starting, ultimately, you know, there's articles written on this. You can Google it. There's an Inman article that breaks down all these different companies and shows you, right? So look for the company that you feel will have that best positive, you know, response to you.
And I would even say this too, because I think every brokerage is going to say, "Oh, we have plenty of support. We'll answer your questions."
Indeed, they do.
They do. It's a selling point. But what I would do is take it a step further and go ask the agents in the office and to see if they really are supported. Take them out for lunch or coffee and see what the real
or ask them if you can go with them. Like we invite everybody to, like we invite all of our agents that took the class, or the agents to be, like, come to our sales meeting.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
See it, feel it, check it out, own it, you know. And many companies will. There's a lot of excellent companies out there. Yeah. And you know, that's why I feel like it has a lot to do with that culture, that feeling, that ability to be supported. Yeah. So
absolutely, it's huge, especially when you're starting.
Really good question.
We got a hand up. Does that mean someone wants to ask a question?
Let me check it. Well, I just put my glasses on. I didn't see a hand up. Oh yes, Michelle Humphrey has a hand up. Michelle, what's your question? Okay, I'm gonna reply with what's the question? Okay, so I'm gonna go on to my next question. Okay, so I just sent that out to them. Okay. So while we're talking about bold moves and bold, right? One of the questions, and actually it was Michelle Humphrey who I just dropped all my questions. It was Michelle Humphrey who asked me this question. She said, "Where did the moves go in the name?" Right? Because when we partnered, you know, we went from bold moves to bold. Yeah. You know, so I'm going to answer this one, and then you can jump in. Okay. So one of the things is that we are a new company, we are a new partnership, so it is no longer bold moves. Right? We morphed from bold moves into bold. Yeah. So we took a lot of the things that were great about bold moves, and we kept them and built on them, and we got rid of a few things that we thought might not be working. Yeah. You know, one of them, for example, was excellence fees and administration fees, right, for our agents. Yeah. So that was something we got rid of because I'm like, let's just cut the bullshit. Right? Simplify, and you know what? Little things matter a lot to people. You know, so we went from bold moves to bold. We are a new company. Patti and I are partners, and you know, and I think it's been amazing. And I just, you know, I think it's phenomenal. But so we are Bold Real Estate now.
And we're already looking at our second location.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are, and a lot of other really cool things. Like we've been growing, and you know, it's pretty funny. We've had, you know, our newest agent is Zach Midwood. And he is a young man who, again, I'm so inspired by. He took the class as a referral from Troy Durr, who is another person who we've had who's been super successful. Yeah. Took the class, was looking for a house, already doing some like work looking for how he was going to buy this multi. Did a lot of legwork. Took the exam on, I think, Friday or Saturday, and joined us on Sunday. And he came and talked to all of the new agents, like, this is what I mean about contribution. Yeah. You know, so we have a heart of contribution around here. Yeah. So anyways, so that is something that's been super exciting. And again, the level of service that you will get in the professionalism, I think, with Bold, because of what she brings to the table. And again,
what she brings to the table.
And shedding some of the old things that weren't working, you know? Right. And so yeah. So I think it's awesome. So
no, I think it's super awesome, and it's not. And she likes to give me all this credit, which is great. I'll take it. I have an ego too, but clearly Kate is the one who started this, and it's been successful all the way through. And now every business has to stay with the times, and I think this is just another adjustment, with the times. Every business does that. You know, Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, and Weight
Change,
Watchers, WW. You know, maybe we should just be B. Just B.
B. We're be realistic. Yeah. So anyway, so it's been super cool, and you know, I think that the feedback out there has been great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I dropped my things, so I'm going to read them down here. Okay, so here was another one, and I thought that this was really interesting the way you explained it. And this is for our people who are looking, either one, to sell their house and they want to see how they have it. They're looking at estate planning and what's in their deed, or they're getting ready to purchase something and they never really think about how their deed is written. Right, so this is part of what Patti talked about when she did the training. And so give them the Brady Bunch analogy between the difference between tenancy in common and joint tenancy, because I thought that was hilarious. It made such sense.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to love coming home, watching the Brady Bunch at 5 and 5:30 on Channel 56.
Oh my God,
I
so
loved it
funny.
every day.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think it's a great example because it's a mixed family. So as you all know, Carol, she had 3 daughters of her own, and then Mike Brady, he had 3 boys of his own, and they get married. So when they bought the Brady house, how did they title their deed? So, and what's the consequence for that? So let's play it out that Carol and Mike deeded or took title to their property, and they took it as tenants in common. If they took their
Which,
property,
by the way, is the default. Which is in Massachusetts, if you don't specify, tenancy in common is the default.
It's the default. So if they took it as tenants in common, and let's just say Mike passed away first, and his 50% share in the property would go down to the boys, which Greg, Peter, and Bobby, if you recall.
We got all 3.
Got all 3. Yeah, I couldn't remember poor Peter last time. So anyway, so those 3 boys would own 50% of the property with Carol. So that's if it's tenants in common. Let's now say it's joint tenancy. With joint tenancy, you have rights of survivorship. So if Mike passes away, his 50% share goes to Carol, which is lovely. That's his spouse. However, if Carol does nothing more and then Carol passes away, Carol's interest, unless she has a will that says otherwise, I have to give that disclaimer. If she does nothing, and just by those laws of intestacy that we just talked about before, Carol's 100% share, because now remember she inherited Mike's 50% share, so she's a 100% share owner. Her 100% share owner is going to go down to her children, Marcia, Jan, and Cindy. And therefore, Mike's children, they're out. They've been disinherited. So it's super important to know how your deed is titled, especially when you have a mixed family, which a lot of families are today. It's just the way it is.
So second marriages.
It's really important. And that's a huge distinction. And every time I give that example, I always get 1 or 2 people in the class or my networking class. They all go, oh no.
So I got to go check my deed out. So these are kinds of interesting things. And again, I love that question, and I thought it was really cool. And so what do you have? Your turn for a question. And this is going to be our last question, unless you guys pop one up, because we don't want to keep you too long.
I think one of the kind of bookends what I was asking before, agents wanted to know what they should be looking for. They also wanted to know what we're looking for. So we're creating this new business, or this new metamorphosis of bold moves into just bold, and we're trying to create a smarter, better agent that serves the public in a smarter, better way. So what kind of agents are we looking for? So what's your thoughts on that?
So that's a good question, and I will tell you, for a long while, when it was Bold Moves, we were not looking for agents, because honestly, I was too busy. I was too busy to train them the way that they had to be trained. And so so we did not have our antenna out, and when I would teach these classes, I would even invite in like several of my broker friends who were looking, so that they could give their spiel.
Interesting.
Because I didn't have the infrastructure in place to effectively do what I felt we needed as an industry. Does that make sense? It wasn't that I didn't love them, because every single Agent Rising student is like my little plants out there. They're part of my family. They are with me forever, no matter where they work, right? And so I just did not have my antenna out, and people thought that was crazy. Like, because people are like, if they can smoke a mirror, then I am hiring them. So, and there's also, when they become licensed, there's a service that can happen through the Board of Licensing that you get all of the new agents that have passed their test. So what happens shortly after every agent gets their licenses, they start getting mail, they start getting emails, they start getting recruited from all these people.
Gotcha.
You know,
I didn't know
so
that.
yeah, and it's funny. So they all bring them to me. I have everybody's stuff out there, right? So it's so the thing is that, you know, now that I feel confident and not only confident, but like super proud of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. I
So
can't wait to grow our team.
Yeah.
You know, and I love what I see. Like I saw the spirit and the heart of the people that took that class.
Yeah.
And I would, you know, I would love to see some of them come, you know, but there's experienced agents out there that I think are a little disenchanted with their group. Now, you know, a lot of times you say like, well, let's put it this way. If somebody is looking for a no bullshit place to work, I would consider working with them, you know, and if we sat there and we talked about, do you have a heart of service? Do you know, do you hate your job and you're just doing it for the money? Or is this something that you want to expand and grow? Does it excite you that you have this kind of support? Right. You know, because again, our compensation structure beats or matches everybody's out there, you know, when it comes right down to it.
Yeah.
So
it almost becomes irrelevant.
So the money part is not the part. The part is that fit.
Yeah.
You know, so what I look for is service. If somebody comes into me and says, what's in it for me? Yeah. I'm like, see ya. Because you know what? Because we give so much to them. Like we give so much of our time, our energy, our heart, our business, our brains, and we want to, you know, to just have them say like, what's in it for me? And when can, you know, I will leave you when like I get a better offer. Yeah. You know, I'm all set with that. Totally. You know, because we don't need to grow. But I want to grow smart. Like, I mean, I want to grow. We want to grow smart. Like, we're a smarter transaction, a smarter business, smarter real estate. Yeah. I want us to grow smart. You know, that's what I'm looking for. What about you?
I like somebody who also has something to bring to the table, like some added value. And it doesn't have to be huge. No. You know, like we have Heather McKay, one of our agents, you know, she was a carpenter. So when she walks into a house,
union carpenter,
she says things that I wouldn't see. I go, wow, this is a great looking house. She's like, hey, what's with that wonky ceiling? You know, I mean, she sees things I don't see. You know, we have Lena, who's in conservation. Tracy's just an all-around rock star. Troy's our new home buyer, but did it himself. And the multitude of talents that boy has is just unbelievable. Yep. And now Zach has been letter writing and looking to get into wholesale. Everybody has some kind of edge, something they bring to the table. Which
Joe's on the planning board of Marion.
Right. Joe's on the planning board, which is awesome. We have Chris who flips houses. Yeah. All together.
And if you have not been mentioned, you are still special.
Yes. I'm sorry. My memory ain't so good.
I know. Really, you know, but it is true. It's the contribution piece. Yeah. And it has to be a two-way street.
And it makes it a stronger team, because when we're here on our Monday morning meetings and we're talking, and you know, there's issues that come out. People, they have an answer for it, you know, at all times. And even like Sandy, she's our rental specialist, right? She knows the ins and outs of all of that, which is awesome. Yep. You know, Betty's got this multifamily thing going down. She's nailing that. She may not be happy about it, but she is nailing it.
Oh my God. Yeah, so no, it's across the board. Everybody brings contribution, and I think that it has to. I think this is. How do I put it? I always talk about like upstairs and downstairs. And upstairs is sunshine, positivity, you know, growing, you know, all good things. And then downstairs is negativity, gossip, sarcasm, you know. And I'm like, I want upstairs people. Yeah, you know,
absolutely.
I want
no drama. I have no time or energy for drama.
So the thing is that when we all work together, we all, and you, Michelle, just said it as a synergistic partnership. We're not only a synergistic partnership, we are a synergistic group altogether, right? And synergistically, we all get better from one another.
Absolutely.
And it's not about those individual things. As I said, I would say if I was an experienced agent and I wasn't happy, I would definitely reach out. Even old boldies, quite honestly. Yeah. You know, because you know, life is long. You know, I would say that for new agents, you know, come see what we have to talk about, you know, give it an opportunity, see if it feels good, right? It may be that it doesn't feel good, you know, and I am working on my appropriateness, you know, so
she's working on it.
Yes, I am. It's on my list.
Oh,
anyway,
boy.
So
but all those agents that we had in this class, like, it was an amazing group of people.
They were.
We went around, we talked to each, like, why are you here? What's your interest? And like so interesting. You know?
It was interesting.
It was a great group.
It was a great group.
Students.
It was. And, you know, I can't wait to put together the video on that because they brought me back some amazing videos from the treasure hunt. And it was fun, you know.
Cool.
So anyway, that's that. I'm going to check one more time for questions. And we like to keep these a time that's not too long for you to watch. Michelle, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that synergistic partnership. And let me just make sure there's no more questions. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Dave Dubek, thank you so much. Good luck with the partnership. You are both fantastic. You know, we have really been enjoying it. But let me tell you something. We are not assuming anything. We're spending 24 hours together on a strategic partnership retreat.
I know, I'm so excited.
Yes, so that we can stop being caught in the busyness and be proactive about how we can bring better value and really nail down our value proposition.
Leaving the offices, leaving our homes, going to a remote place where we can't be interrupted just to dedicate an entire day to what's coming next. Like that's the energy that we're putting into this. We're not just hanging out a cool looking sign.
No, and we're like, we got to get away. Like, you know, I just got back from the strategic READ for MAR, and I'm like, we got to get away because there's so many questions that happen all the time. We need to get away. We need to like proactively decide, like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait.
Because it's been so awesome. It really has been. And this show's been a blast. So thank you so much for watching. Pass the word along. You know, I know today we talked about some of the questions that we had, and they were kind of fun questions. Yeah. You know, we'll tackle whatever it is you want to know, right? And we'll find out. We'll research it. We'll find out, and we'll bring it to you. You know, I've got 20 years of real estate, and I've been instructing for over 10 years. You know, I've got that piece, and she's like a bomb lawyer. Yeah, so
a bomb lawyer. I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
my promos.
Yes, exactly. So we will find out what you need because we are your real estate experts.
Yes.
So thanks, guys, so much.
Awesome. Have a good weekend. Oh, happy 4th.
Yes, red, white, and blue. Look at us.
I know.
We didn't plan this. Bye.